Alright, so here we're going to put together the learning about finding sides and angles in right triangles to solve a right triangle, meaning finding all missing sides and angles. In order to do this, you're going to have to draw your own triangle, and so I remind you what you know about naming shapes. That capital letters are angles, and that lowercase letters mean that they are sides. And the side across from an angle has the same letter. So across from the opposite of angle A is side A. Opposite of side C, or angle C, is side C. Opposite of angle B is side B. So they're opposites of each other. Okay. So when we approach a new situation, we want to sketch it out. And we're always going to make C the right angle so that everyone can end up with comparable answers. So if little c equals 22, that's going to be the hypotenuse. All right, you're going to be able to place A or B wherever you would like. If you want to follow the picture above, we would place A here, which means little a will go here. We'll put B at the top, which means little b goes at the bottom. And we knew that 37 degrees was A, so let's see if I can sneak a 37 in there. Alrighty, use a ratio to find one more side or one more angle. We will use this since we don't have two sides yet. We need one more side before we'll be able to do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So we need to find one more side. It does not matter which side you find, so choose one. I wrote the A badly, so I think I'm going to get rid of the A. Let's say we're going to find B first because it looked nicer. Okay, it really does not matter which side you find. So looking from the 37's point of view, the 22 is the hypotenuse, and the B is the adjacent. So if I'm going to find B, I need to use adjacent and hypotenuse. So I'm going to need cosine. So cosine of a 37-degree angle equals adjacent, which is B, over hypotenuse, which is 22. When the variable's in the fraction, that's when I cross multiply and possibly divide. So I do B times 1, I get B. And I do cosine of 37 times 22, so I write 22 cosine 37 because I like to write the number first. Then I don't need parentheses. And B will equal 17 point. Let's round that to 570. Okay. Once I've done one more side, I can figure out my angles because 3 angles must add up to 180. So I already knew 2 angles, right? I had 180. I can subtract 90 because that's the right angle. And I can subtract 37. And whatever I have left is 53 degrees. That's the value of angle B. And the 3 sides can be found with the Pythagorean theorem. So now that I know that B is 17.570 and c squared, the hypotenuse, was 22, then I can find the missing side, the missing side A from before. So I can do, might as well just keep A, B, and C here so we can keep it straight. A squared plus 17.570 squared equals 22 squared. Okay, so 22 squared, 484. And 17.570 squared is 308.705. A little bit of rounding there. And so I will have to subtract and take a square root. I'm really low on space, aren't I? So 484 subtract 308.705 equals 175. So a squared equals 175.295. And then if I square root both sides, a will be 13.240. Remember, stop back and make sure things seem reasonable. Make sure your hypotenuse is the longest side. My hypotenuse was 22, which is longer than 13 or 15. So that seems reasonable before I left to turn in my work. Okay, let's try one more where I have more space and a different scenario. All right, solve the right triangle. Let's C be the right angle. This time we only know A is 17 and B is 11, and they're both lower cases. So neither one of those is a side. I mean an angle. So if I put angle A in the bottom right like I did on the previous picture, then lowercase a is the opposite. It's over here at 17. If I put angle B at the top, then angle side A is down here at the bottom, opposite of B. Alrighty. So this time, we don't need to find one more side. We already have two of our sides. We can get the third one with the Pythagorean theorem, no problem. What we need is an angle. So our trig ratio this time is going to find an angle. Doesn't matter which angle. Let's just say, let's say we're going to find angle A. If we're going to find angle A, then we need to label opposite and adjacent using that angle. Label the two sides with numbers on them and determine whether you need to use sine or cosine or tangent to pair those together. Since we have opposite and adjacent, we need a tangent. Tangent of A equals opposite, which is 17, and adjacent, which is 11. So remember, if you know the whole fraction, cross multiplying won't help you. But what has to be done is you press shift tangent or second tangent, which gets tangent -1 to show up, inverse tangent. And then you do 17 divided by 11, and you get your angle. So A, angle A, is 57.095 degrees. Okay, you can always get the third angle by subtracting. So to get angle B, that's going to be 180. Subtract the right angle, which is 90. Subtract angle A, which we just calculated. And the remainder is the value of angle B. So, of course, 180 minus 90 is always 90, so you can really just type 90 minus the 57 and get it with less typing. 32.905 degrees. And then we are missing the hypotenuse. We don't know our hypotenuse. So we need the Pythagorean theorem. A squared plus B squared equals C squared can become 17 squared plus 11 squared equals C squared. So you type that into our calculator. Okay, 17 squared plus 11 squared is 410 equals c squared. We can square root that to get c by itself, and so you can leave that as the square root of 410 if you want, or if you really want to know the side of your angle so you can compare and make sure your hypotenuse is the biggest, like you know it should be. I didn't quite give myself enough space to write. It is 20.048. And that equals C. So we want to make sure that that is the longest side. The sides were 11 and 17, so yes it is. That seems very reasonable. Okay, if you have questions about either of these types, please let me know.